Hi everybody, I'm Trish Christ. In this episode of Our Nashville, NECAT and our super crew of teenagers spend some time with Book 'em. Executive Director Melissa Spradlin and her team are going to show and tell us all the cool things they do in our community. You ready?
I'm ready, yes.
You ready, super crew?
Yeah!
Let's make the show.
It's our Nashville.
It's our Nashville.
It's our Nashville.
It's our Nashville.
We all know how to talk about our organization during meetings, but what about the chance encounter of a lifetime? You never know who may share your next elevator, notice your logo on a notebook or a tote bag, and ask what you do. What's the clearest, most persuasive thing you can say in a short elevator ride?
I want to tell you about this awesome opportunity. I know you love kids, and I know you love books. We help bring kids and books together, and we'd love to have your help to make that happen more often, because kids need to be book owners to identify as readers, and we all need our kids to be literate and successful for our future.
I'm so happy to have you here, Melissa, and I have all kinds of questions for you. I'm just going to jump right in with the most obvious one. What's the purpose of Book 'em?
Book 'em is providing two things for kids to help with their literacy needs. First of all, we provide thousands of books to youth ages 0 to 18 that really may not own very many books of their own. And everyone should be a book owner, regardless of where you live, what your income is, any of those issues in life. Secondly, we know that young people need folks in their lives who love books and reading. And so we provide reading role models to elementary and preschool classrooms, where those people get students excited about books and reading. Ultimately, we know that literacy makes a difference in our lives, period. So if we can help kids develop a love of reading, they're going to read more often, they're going to get better at it, and if you have great literacy skills, you can do whatever you want in life. That's what we're about.
Reading is the most important thing that a person can ever do or learn how to do. And it is so important that even our students who are in pre-K begin hearing books and learning how to read actually before they even enter pre-K. Reading is just so important that students start getting phonemical awareness and things of that nature where they start being able to imagine. And so books take you places that you can't go.
Let's start with the books. Where do they come from?
Actually, most of the books that we give away are donated to us. We have a really generous community, and people get that kids need books. And many people are really surprised when they find out that we have thousands of youth here in Davidson County who don't own books.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh gosh, yes, kids need books in their homes that they can read anytime they want. So people do book drives within their own networks. That may be through their company, it may be through the social network, it may be through their neighborhood. It could be that families are just cleaning off their bookshelves and passing on the books that weren't their favorites, but that they're ready to pass along to someone else that can also love those books. So a lot of our books are donated, but we also purchase thousands of books, and we can make money go a long way. Our average cost for children's books is $2.50. So when we get those donations of money, that helps us provide books that maybe fill certain needs that aren't donated to us, like bilingual books. So we're lucky that the community is really generous.
That's wonderful. Let's talk about what kind of books. Like, if I were to go to my house and clean off my bookshelf, I don't know that there would be things that are of interest to, tell me your ages again.
So we serve ages 0 to 18. So
We're not
almost-
talking just any books.
we're talking about young adult books, even some books for adults that are suitable for high school students. We're talking about infant board books. So any of those kinds of books and anything in between, we accept pretty much all books except for encyclopedias. We find that there's really not a market for encyclopedias anymore.
Now that we have this encyclopedia in our
Yes.
hands all day long.
Yes, but other than that, we like to accept pretty much all the books that we can. That helps get them out of people's homes and into places where people can use them, especially if they're just sitting on a shelf somewhere that they haven't been picked up in years. They probably still have great life in them. Mm-hmm. And so we want to make sure that every book that comes to us finds a great home. So we also know that young people have diverse interests. So a book that appeals to one child is not going to appeal to another child, but it is going to appeal to somebody. And part of the magic of books and loving reading is finding that book that is a hook, so that you're like, oh, I didn't think I liked reading, but gosh, this book is about basketball and I love basketball. And so what if it's poetry? Doesn't matter. It's by Kwame Alexander and he's fabulous. But until they have that experience of having that book and being able to read it and knowing that it's something they are interested in, it's a little hard for them to realize that they really may be great readers. And they may really love reading, they just don't know it yet. So let's help them find that right book. It's really important for people to be able to choose what they get. Me as an adult, I know what I like. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to choose what I read. I don't want somebody telling me, oh, you need to read this. Well, maybe I do, but maybe I don't want to. So let's let children pick out what they want. Children know what they like. We don't need to tell them what they like. They already know it. Let's just give them enough choice, enough selection, that they're going to find something that appeals to them.
The kids are so excited when Bookem comes in because they always feel like, I get another book. And so that helps to add to their collection. And we want to, the more they read, the better readers they become, the better interest they have in books, but they're not just sticking to that one type of book, but they have an opportunity to explore various books. So they get to see other genres, they get to see books from other authors. It's not just sticking to like a textbook. So it opens up that imagination. It helps them to gain empathy because through the characters. It also helps them to gain knowledge, and that's what we really want them to build that world knowledge around different types of books and have them to be able to have those conversations about those books.
To get books into kids' hands, we have to work with tons of people in the community. So Bookem is fortunate. We have over 100 partner organizations in the community who help us get books into the hands of kids who need them and want them. So it may be an elementary school, and they may ask for one book for every child in that school to give out before spring break, because during a break, school is closed, and a lot of the youth that we serve don't get to go to the public library, so they really don't have anything to read over a break when school's not in session. But if they get a book that they get to pick out for themselves before they go on spring break, they are most likely going to read that book and be excited about having that book in their home.
Oh, the parents get excited along with the students because usually they take those books and they're able to read those to their parents, or at least showing them the printed materials. So a lot of times this allows them to start their own library at home. And we know that the more books that students have, the more likely they will love to read. And that's what we're trying to emphasize, that if you get the love of reading, there's no limits on your life.
We also work with lots of nonprofits. For instance, when kids go to move into their brand new Habitat for Humanity home, every child has 5 books already in their home to start their home library. And it's just so thrilling that Habitat for Humanity will partner with us in that way, that we can help build an even better home for those kids, because books bring a lot of love into a new home. And the kids are so excited because even the 18-year-old gets a stack of books
Nice.
for them. There are lots of different ways to get books out into the community, and we depend on all of those groups to help us make sure that the books are getting to the kids who need them and want them.
You said books bring a lot of love, and I like that, and that is a nice segue to the other service that you provide, which is mentors, folks who go in and read with young people. Tell us about how that works.
So we call them reading role models. They are mentors, and we have 2 programs where people are trained to be reading role models. One program is called Reading is Fundamental, and a lot of people are familiar with RIF, and our program is kind of unique because we don't provide just books. That's kind of the traditional RIF model, is that the kids get books, and that's fabulous. But in addition to kids getting books, we provide reading role models, and it just enhances the program so much. So here's how it works. An adult will sign up to become a reading role model. They'll go through a training. They'll do a background check, of course. They'll be assigned an elementary classroom. Right now we're serving over 4,000 students at 17 Metro Nashville public schools.
Wow.
And that reading role model will contact his or her teacher and set up a visit. So it works with both of their schedules. So that means that a lot of people can be involved in this program. They're only going to spend about 30 minutes in the classroom, and they're going to do that about 5 times a year. So it's not a huge commitment for the adult, but it has amazing impact. So when they arrive at the school, they come, they greet the kids, they talk with the students. Obviously the kids are curious about what that person does for a living, if they're still working, what their life is like, do they have kids, are they married, all those personal questions that students like to ask. And we encourage our volunteers to share information that they're comfortable with, of course, because part of it is exposing these children to different people. It benefits all of us when we're exposed to people that are not just like ourselves. And it goes both ways. It's great for the volunteer, and it's great for those students. So they spend about 20 minutes reading and engaging with the kids and answering and asking questions. And then the last 10 minutes are spent with the kids picking out a brand new book to take home.
What I love the most about Bookem is that the children are my inspiration. They are a bunch of little role models to me, and every time I'm in a classroom, every time I interact with the teacher or the children, I'm reminded that I've got to be a good person, and I've got to set a good example, because they're open-minded, their hearts are open, the hugs are great. So it's a great way for adults to be reminded the importance of being creative and being fun. And I see children that have not become jaded to the world. I see faces that want to learn, faces that want to grow, faces that are curious and creative and open. They are smart. I've been so impressed with every classroom I've read to at how smart these kids are.
It amazes me that these children love having another caring adult in their classroom, somebody who wouldn't be there otherwise, somebody that loves reading, who cares about them, wants the best for them, wants to make a difference. And that's why they're there. I mean, they're there for the right reasons. And that comes through in how they engage with the kids, how they help the teacher. I think that's a really important element to the program, is that we're getting people into schools that may or may not be there otherwise. So if a teacher would like to have a reading role model in their classroom, there is a process to that. Usually that person will email me or contact me by phone, either one, or they will contact their administrator at their school. And we will add them to our waiting list. Unfortunately, we have a waiting list of elementary schools who would like to have RIF at their schools. We added 5 schools this school year, and we would love to do that every year, but it takes money to run the program. Like everything, we have to have money to buy books and to train volunteers and supervise them and recruit them and do background checks. So we are trying to add schools as quickly as we can. When we add a new school, we usually add 2 or 3 grade levels. So we don't add the whole school at one time. We will add an additional grade level to that school every year until we are serving all of their students, if that's what the school wants. That's usually what most schools want. They want us to serve all of their students as quickly as possible. And so we will raise the money to do that as fast as we can and move schools off of our waiting list. It is key that the administration at a school and the teachers at a school want the program. It doesn't work if they don't. And we understand that. It's okay. But if they really want the program and they feel like their students will benefit, we will try to accommodate them as quickly as we can. One thing that's important to note is that Bookham is really focused on lower income youth. We find that that's where the need is. We have a lot of families that are lower income in Davidson County, especially in our public schools. And, money doesn't go that far. It's hard to buy books, and it's hard to find the time to read with your kids on a consistent basis. But those are 2 things that our kids need to develop strong literacy skills. And that's kind of the niche that Bookham fills in the community, are those 2 items.
I know one particular student just yesterday, I was sitting in a room, and he is a struggling reader. However, their unit right now is all about animals, but he has such a keen interest in animals that when they went to do their daily tasks for the day, he knew exactly what to do through pictures. So he drew his response, but he was able to regurgitate it. So that says enough about, what Bookham has to offer, what MMPS has to offer, what we all have to offer as a whole.
So that is another key element to a school being part of our RIF program, is that they're primarily serving low-income families. We have schools where we have a lot of English language learner students. We serve special ed students or exceptional education students. If that service is offered at that school, we want to serve every child at every school if we possibly can. Let's talk about volunteers.
Let's do. I'm sure there are some who also want to serve every child at every school if they can.
We love volunteers, and I know every nonprofit probably says they have the best volunteers, but we're right up there with all of them. We really do. People who want to read to kids have great hearts. And all they have to do is contact us. They can go on our website at bookham-kids.org and find our tab that says volunteers and how to get involved. They can fill out a volunteer application form, send it in to us. We'll get them plugged in. Or they can contact me. That's fine too. They can call our office and say, I want to read to kids.
What an unselfish thing to do, to give your time to read to a bunch of kiddos and share stories and have relationships. That is an unselfish thing to volunteer to do.
Yeah. But, you know, our volunteers get so much out of it. I mean, that's why they come back, because the kids are awesome. They're just amazing. They're inquisitive and smart and well-behaved and just precious kids.
Are there other ways that folks watching us right now can further your endeavors?
You know, I love living here in Nashville, and Davidson County in Middle Tennessee is such a great community. We always need volunteers, and volunteers can do so many different things. We need people who can help with office work, who can help sort books, help get books ready to be distributed. We have people who help pick up and drop off books, so transportation volunteers.
That's a big task, I would think.
Yes, for people who like to drive. You know, not everybody wants to read to a kid. So we have other ways that people can get involved. We need help with events. We had people at Christmas time who wrapped books and did gift wrapping at Parnassus, which is another great partner of ours. We have, of course, fundraisers where people can come and help us get ready. We have Read Me Month, where we're doing a reading celebration at 4 different elementary schools over the course of a month. We need help with those activities. Really, if somebody wants to help us, we'll find a spot for them. I'll be honest, Bookham is not going to fix the literacy problem in Nashville by ourselves. It takes the entire community. So one of the campaigns that I'm really, really excited about is called Jump In Nashville. A couple of years ago, a group of people in the community got together in what was called the Nashville Literacy Collaborative. I got to be part of that group, which was really an honor. And we looked at all kinds of data, all kinds of recommendations on how we can get more children reading on grade level when they leave 3rd grade. That is a pivotal moment in a child's life. If they are reading on grade level at the end of 3rd grade, they're going to make it. That's what the research shows. If they're not, they're going to struggle. So we've got to help our kids in any way possible to be reading on grade level by 3rd grade. That's not going to happen with just our teachers in the classrooms. It's going to take all of us in the community. So Bookham is part of that initiative. And our piece is helping spread the word, for one thing, which we all can do that part. Encouraging parents to read with their children 20 minutes a day. Encouraging children and students to read 20 minutes every single day. Making sure that kids have access to books that they want to read. And that's really the biggest element that we bring to the table, is we can get books out in the community where they're needed. So Jump In Nashville and other organizations in the community have helped us create little libraries. So you may see a little library in a barber shop or a beauty shop. You may see it in a restaurant, on a bus. Little libraries are in all kinds of places where people just normally go. And they can pick out a book, they can read it while they're there, they can put it back, they can take it with them. But it's another way that we can help put more books in areas that really are book deserts. You don't find books in a lot of these places. And we're building book ownership and frequency of reading for these families and kids through this initiative. And we're seeing more things like this happen through Jump In Nashville. So I encourage everyone to find out about the initiative and see how they can help, because we want to do as much as we can to make sure that our kids are reading on grade level as they get out of elementary school. So 2019 is our 30th anniversary. It is a big deal for a nonprofit to have this kind of longevity. We're proud that we have been able to serve the Nashville community for 30 years and hope that we will be around another 30 years as long as there's a need. Would I love it if I could honestly say that every child is going to have limitless access to books in 30 years? I hope so. I don't know if that will be the case. If not, Bookham will still be here making that happen in the community. But it is exciting to think that in 2018 we gave away over 100,000 books for the first time in 1 year. We hope to top that every year in the next few years to come.
We are at my favorite point of the episode, and that is the speed round. It's just like the game we used to play when we were kids, where I ask you something and the first thing that comes to your mind, just let it fly and we'll go on to the next one.
This could be scary.
It could be. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Okay, speed round with Melissa Spradlin. What book do you remember loving as a child?
Secret Garden.
Do you associate a person or a place with the memory of that book?
My mother.
True or false? A child who is read to regularly from birth to age 5 will enter kindergarten with a much larger vocabulary than a child who has not been read to regularly.
True.
What emotion do you personally associate with reading?
Joy.
What emotion do you see in children receiving books?
Excitement.
What mark do you want Bookham to make on the world?
Bookham wants kids to have a lifelong love of reading.
I think they will. And easiest of all, my friend, what is your website?
www.bookham-kids.org. That's BOOKEM-KIDS.org.
Melissa, thank you so very much.
Thank
Let's
you.
go read something.
Okay.
It's our Nashville.